Hey there, fellow fantasy football freaks. Yeah, I know, I said I was going to show my face this time and do a whole thing about what was going on, but, hey, surprise. I'm sorry about that. Still having some technical issues, a lot of things going on, and I'll get that explanation to you. I promise, I swear to you, it's going to come tomorrow, alright? On the Wide Receiver Show, I'll explain everything. I'll come on, you'll see this handsome mug once again. But I didn't want to deprive you of this great content just because my computer's being a shit. So, there's also other things that were involved that explain like my absence for a while. I'll get into that tomorrow. But for now, here we go. We're going to get this show on the road. It's the running back show that's going to help you win your draft in terms of running backs. Here it is. 5 running back steals that you're going to want to pick up ahead of their ADP.
I'm going to start off with David Montgomery, Chicago Bears. With major changes shaping the Bears' offense, one constant has been David Montgomery. He didn't start so well last season, but was the number 1 back after week 11, making him the number 4 back overall. So that should catapult him into the beginning of the second round, end of the first round, right? Wrong. Monty's being taken on average at the end of the 3rd or beginning of the 4th round. Are you fucking kidding me? Get the fuck out of here. As if the Bears offense isn't going to be more efficient with Justin Fields at the helm. Coach Nagy said that they plan to make Monty a workhorse, giving him 20 plus carries a game. That's almost 100 more than he had last year. That would be at least 340 carries for the year. Do I really think he's going to hit that mark? Not quite, but he'll certainly get more opportunity than he did last season. So with more opportunity and coaches in training camp saying that he's become quicker and more elusive, I don't see his value taking the precipitous drop that his ADP and consensus rankings suggest. He either stays the same or improves. He's drafted as a mid-level RB2, but I see his potential as more like a mid-level RB1. If he falls to you in the 3rd, let alone 4th round, he's gonna be a steal. Pick him up as your RB2 and win your league. Next up, Zach Moss, Buffalo Bills. He has the size, speed, and talent to be a star running back in this league. But that old ball and chain Devin Singletary has held him back. But if you look at the stats and the video between the two, it's obvious that Moss is the better back. I think that Bills coaches will eventually see this. No, I don't expect this to be a running back by committee. It may be a competition that spills out in the first few weeks of the regular season, but the Bills want to find their guy. Ultimately, whether it be due to injury or the Bills coaches coming to their senses, Zach Moss will be the lead running back in the potent Bills offense. He's no longer hindered by that turf toe that plagued them all last season, and he's set to not just take over the starting role in Buffalo, but to be a breakout running back this season. His current ADP is right around 100, and he's outside the top 30 running backs on many lists. This is absurd. He's going to be the starting running back of a potent offense and has already showed a flourish of talent. Maybe it's a case of him being taken way too low, but I think Moss, who is being drafted as an RB3 or 4, has weekly starting RB2 potential. That's why I've got him higher up on my list than pretty much any other analyst you're going to see. Moss was already getting more snaps than Singletary toward the end of last season, at a margin of 53% to 47% of the snaps. But that just has to go up this season. Rumor has it, he's been hands down the best running back at camp, and he's been mostly running with the ones. Don't overpay. But if he falls to you in the 8th or 9th round, in a 10-team PPR, he's worth a snag. He's a top 20 running back at a higher than top 30 price. Not a bad deal. Then I've got Myles Gaskin, Miami Dolphins. No, his name doesn't fly off the page and his jersey sales aren't going to be breaking any records anytime soon, but this dude gets it done. Last season, on a per-game basis, Gaskin was the 13th best back in PPR leagues, averaging 14 carries and 4.5 targets per game. Extrapolate that out into an entire season, and don't forget to factor in the 4 touchdowns that Jordan Howard vultured last season, since he's out of Miami. And you'll see, it's not bad for an RB2, right? But he's being drafted as running back 25, somewhere around the 5th or 6th round. You gotta be shitting me sideways. You can get a mid-level RB2 at a mid-level RB3 price. He's a steal of an RB2 if you go wide receiver heavy in the early rounds. Not worried about Brown or Ahmed taking production away from Gaskin. Don't buy the jersey, but do buy into his production as an RB2 this season. Next up, my guy, Chase Edmonds, Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, if you're a fan of the show, you know this is another one of Ty's guys. Not just my guy, but my little baby boy. If it weren't for that bum Kenyon Drake, Edmonds would have had a much better fantasy season. Cliff Kingsbury just wouldn't pull the trigger and let him loose as the lead back, even though he had a higher yards per carry average and almost 3 times the reception yardage, placing 7th amongst running backs in receptions with 53, and he wasn't even a starting running back on his team. As an RB2 on his own team, he put up league-wide RB2 numbers. No kidding. So now, with no Drake there and a beat-up James Conner in his stead, I see Chase Edmonds finally emerging as a solid back I knew he always was and would become. Conner will be playing backup to Edmonds, who will be bordering on Studley in PPR. All Chase ever needed was touches. That Cards offense has only improved, and that will help Edmonds get a lot of touches. That is if Cliff Kingsbury can unbury his fucking head out of his ass and do right by Chase and his team for once. Reason has to win out, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Regardless, this guy is being taken outside the top 25 running backs in double-digit rounds, so he'll be a steal even if he doesn't improve his production. I think he'll get around 15 carries a game and likely twice as many touchdowns this season, though. That should bump him up to the RB2 range, not relegated to flex. He's definitely undervalued and a steal in the 9th or 10th round. I just love watching my boy grow up. And finally, Javonte Williams. No, Melvin Gordon doesn't scare me. Dude will be injured or holding out or some shit by week 3. Meanwhile, J. Will's talent is undeniable. No matter what the reason, he will be the lead back in the Broncos offense before long. And when, not if, that happens, you'll have a possible league winner on your hands. He could put up at least low-end RB1 numbers if given a consistent, healthy workload. He's having a quiet preseason, but hey, it's preseason. And if you weren't watching the first preseason game, you'd have missed that he had a touchdown called back for holding. This means the Broncos have plans to use him, and if they give him any kind of consistent usage, he'll be a steal at his current ADP of 62 or worse. Take Melvin Gordon through if you can, but if not, I'd still snag Williams in the 6th round. Guy could be an RB2, maybe even a low-end RB1 in no time flat. So there are my top 5 steals for the draft. But if you're looking for some sleepers and deep dives, I'll throw you a friggin' bone. I think Phillip Lindsay takes over the starting spot for the Texans, beating out David Johnson. And while I don't expect a high volume of carries considering the futility of this team, and how much they'll have to play behind, and the distractions regarding their QB, Phillip Lindsay is a PPR beast. He'll get it done and score fantasy points any way the Texans use him. If they're playing from behind, he's going to get his in the passing game. Good games or bad, expect a lot of Lindsay, as he'll prove to be a steal in the late rounds of your draft. Everyone is psyched about J.K. Dobbins this season, and while I think he'll do well in this offense, he'll have to contend with both his QB, Lamar Jackson, and solid backup who has shown, when given the chance, that he can make shit happen, Gus Edwards. Practically everyone's on the Dobbins hype train, but I still haven't gotten off the Gus bus. Don't get me wrong, of course Dobbins will be the starter, but I think Gus will get some attention too, and if, God forbid, J.K. Dobbins gets injured, Gus will put up RB2 level numbers at least. Even with Dobbins starting, Gus is a flex consideration, but without Dobbins, he'd move up to a mid-high RB2 status. Stash him and cash in. Ramondre Stevenson seems like that surprise running back that Belichick just loves, like Rex Burkhead or Danny Woodhead. You'd think it's going to be like Harris or Michelle or White who's going to wrestle away the most carries, but nope, it's going to be Stevenson. Have you watched this kid in preseason? Mwah! He's ripping it the fuck up. Not even sure how much longer he's going to be a sleeper, because most fantasy drafters know this guy by now. Although he's not being drafted in a lot of mocks I've done, unless I'm the one drafting him in the late rounds. Don't be a noob. Pick him up as a late flyer and see what happens. I bet you'll be happy with what you get. And as for my double deep danger dive for the daring and deep league drafters, it's gotta be Kenneth Gainwell. He's been out playing Boston Scott in preseason, and I think he's gonna take over the backup role at running back in Philly. Miles Sanders had a bit of a sophomore slump last season, and if Gainwell gets a chance, he could outshine Sanders. And if Sanders gets hurt at all, Gainwell could Wally Pip his job from him. Yeah, that's a lot of what ifs and speculation, but hey, that's why it's my double danger deep dive. The numbers don't lie, the game film don't lie. This kid has some potential, and if given the opportunity, he'll go blow that shit wide open. Get ahead of the game and pick him up as your last pick. Let him sit on the bench, and when the time comes, bam! Your friends are all gonna go on the waiver wire looking for him, only to find he ain't there, cause you got him. You're welcome.
Alright, so that was the running back steals, sleepers, and deep dives. But now we come to the real meat, the main course. My top 50 running backs to draft in 2021.
I already talked about all these guys in the last episode. If you haven't seen it already, go check it out. It's my top 200. I will touch on a couple more things though. No, I'm not afraid of Roundtree this season. Eckler's going to get plenty of work, and in PPR especially, he's going to put up some studly numbers. I hope Saquon Barkley bounces back from injury, and that the Giants' internal problems don't fuck up his production. He's too good of a player to be this low on the list. If you take him higher, it could pay off. The uncertainty is baked into his rank. He shouldn't last past the second round or anything. He's just too risky to take with the top 5 or 6 picks. Stop all the Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines talk. JT is going to get fed, and fed plenty. Guy will be a low-end RB1 with high-end RB1 potential. Don't be afraid, just don't get overzealous and take him in the first round. Antonio Gibson will be a solid RB1 by the end of the season, if not at the beginning. Mark my words. My ranking reflects where you can get him, and not so much a prediction of his talent or production this season. The offense will be playing better, he'll be getting more touches, they'll be relying more on him to keep leads than McKissick to help catch up, as opposed to last season. Looking at a breakout season here, I can smell it. Copy and paste that for David Montgomery, honestly. And I'm not all over CEH like a lot of analysts are. I think he is what he is. We saw that last year, and the other weapons in KC will get more attention. James Robinson took a quantum leap up in the rankings once Etienne went down with a season-ending injury. This guy was putting up RB1 numbers out of nowhere last season, lest we forget. This might even be too low for the guy. He could be a steal in the 3rd or 4th round. I made this list before Sony Michel ended up in LA, so my rank on Henderson is in question. I'll stay pat for now, but I want to see what the coaches and players have to say and see how Michel looks in their offense. Hopefully we get a chance before preseason is over, but for now, maybe Henderson goes down a few spots? Keep an eye out. Swift's injury took him down several notches. If you draft him, make sure you get Jamal Williams early before someone else snags him. Mike Davis has the talent, but usage is the issue. Running backs haven't exactly flourished in the Falcons' offense since the early days of Devontae Freeman, but Davis has the talent to buck that trend. Will they take advantage? This unknown factor is what keeps him lower than perhaps he's truly worth. Without Sony Michel in New England, Damian Harris could get some work, so he's been bumped up, as has been Ramondre Stevenson. The Jets are looking fairly competent, so their running game could actually be a factor this season. I know Carter's played behind Johnson and Coleman in preseason, but that's preseason. Sure, take Coleman as insurance in the later rounds, but don't be fooled. Within weeks, barring injury, Carter will be the main man in the Jets' backfield and can return said backfield to relevance this season. Some people think DJ Dallas will be the number 2 running back in Seattle, but Penny is healthy and may actually get a chance to finally show his potential. Unless he gets hurt again, he's going to be the number 2 guy and could even compete with Carson for some of his touches. Don't be afraid to take him in the later rounds of your draft. So there it is, ladies and gents. There's your top 50 running backs, plus some steals, sleepers, and deep dives. And I'll be back with another show tomorrow at some point covering the wide receivers. And at that point, I promise you, I swear to you, I'll actually show my face and tell you what's been going on, why I was absent, why things have been kind of screwy here and there. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot to cover, but it's all going to end up all good, all right? Don't worry. The Fantasy Tyrant is here to stay, and things are just gonna get better. I promise, alright? So until tomorrow, I'm out. Peace.